Hello there, everyone. This is Storytime again. I am back after a brief hiatus from YouTube. I took the weekend off, and I am back and ready to go. Today I will be doing a reading of the Alford, Massachusetts Mystery. The Alford, Massachusetts Mystery was a strange series of events that happened over the course of many months. The following dates contain information from police reports and actual witnesses of the events that transpired. All the dates occur in the order of which they happened, and all of the dates listed below are the only dates of major events. Minor occurrences are not listed. This all started on August 12, 2005, when a plumber by the name of Henry Miller was called upon by the Davis residents. The Davis family was complaining of strange tapping noises coming from their bathroom walls, and Mr. Davis suggested it was a plumbing problem, but Miller was unable to find any source for the tapping. Later that week, Mr. and Mrs. Davis were woken by the screams of Jonathan Davis, who at the time was 10 to 12 weeks of age. At approximately 1 a.m., the couple found the baby with bruises on his back and a small cut on his right cheek. They called the police, who arrived shortly, and a small investigation concluded that the crib holding the baby was at fault for the injuries. On the 23rd of August that year, Mr. Davis left on a plane to Carson City, Nevada, on a business trip. It was at 7 a.m. Miss Davis and her 3 children were alone at the residence. At 9:30 p.m., Charlie, who was 3 years of age, complained of a strange sound coming from Jonathan's room. Miss Davis ran to the room only to find that Jonathan was not in the room. The police arrived at 9:47, and the only evidence of disturbance was an open window and scratch marks on the crib. The scratch marks appeared to be human, but contained no DNA evidence. On the 24th, Mr. Davis arrived back home to his distraught family, and on September 3rd, the police had been receiving multiple reports of a woman screaming and crying at the Davis residence. The police arrived quickly, only to find that nobody was home. The Davis family then decided to fly to Sacramento to be with the comfort of Miss Davis's grandmother. The officers on duty at the scene reported they heard no screaming or crying. However, they did report hearing a soft tapping on the walls. The Davis family decided they wanted to sell their house on October 6th. They said, "We decided that the house brought back too many bad memories. After the disappearance of Johnny, we could never even bring ourselves to look at the house," stated Mr. Davis. But Miss Davis refused to comment. On March 15, 2006, the Hanson family moved into the house. They were reported to have heard the same soft tapping that was heard by the Davis family. On March 18, 2006, Colby Hanson, who was 7, woke up his parents at 11:31 p.m. He told his parents he saw a thin man in the hallway. Mr. Hanson went to investigate, but found nothing. Colby slept in his parents' room for the following week. April 1st, 2006, Mr. Hanson came home from work early. He was reported to have been waiting for his wife to come home from the cosmetic school. About the time his wife should have been home, he heard a voice whisper his name, and he turned around, only to see a brief glimpse of a white dress heading into the other room. He ran to the room, but found nothing. He confided in his wife, but she dismissed the story as an April Fool's prank. On the 5th of April, Miss Hanson woke up around 6:30. She reported that she heard somebody calling her name. She sat up in time to see a white dress heading into Colby's room. She ran into his bedroom in a panic, but nothing was out of the ordinary. Then on April 6, 2006, Colby Hanson, the 7-year-old, woke up in the morning very frightened. He told his parents about a frightening dream he had had the previous night. He reported that he had seen his mother run into his room with a frantic look on her face. When she reached Colby's room, she crouched down and made sure that her son was uninjured. Colby said that she seemed relieved, but behind him was a figure without eyes holding a crying baby. Miss Hanson did not tell her or anyone what had happened the night before. On April 10th, Mr. Hanson called the hospital. He told doctors that he thought something was very wrong with his wife. Mr. Hanson brought her to the hospital for evaluation. On April 11th, Miss Hanson's daughter reported that she was undergoing symptoms similar to those of PTSD. On May 22nd, Miss Hanson's mental state worsened to the point of insanity. Mr. Hanson reported that she was often rambling about the people in the walls and the baby doesn't belong to you. Mr. Hanson had been planning to take her to a mental institution and finally went through with the plan on this date. On May 31st, Miss Hanson was found dead in the bottom of her institution. Nurses reported that she had locked herself inside the bathroom and would not come out. Police found that she had bitten through her radial artery. The words "check the walls" were written in blood on the wall. On June 1st, Mr. Hansen learned about his wife. He was hesitant to tell Colby because he believed that there was still hope for his mother. Mr. Hansen was surprised to find that his son did not react with any emotion. Colby simply stated, "Mom was right." On June 5th, at approximately 4:30 p.m., Mr. Hansen returned home from work. He saw his son's backpack and books, but Colby was nowhere to be seen. Mr. Hansen soon found his son hanging from a hook in the ceiling. The room was completely bare except for Colby's bed. The bed was covered in scratches. A few of the scratches were near the bottom of the bed, spelled out, "He did it for the baby." At 4:37 p.m., Mr. Hansen ran outside with his phone and called the police. The police reported that they could hardly hear what he was saying. All they were able to hear from Mr. Hansen was his address. The only other thing they could hear was a woman repeating the phrases, "Check the walls! Check the walls! Check the walls!" At 4:49 p.m., the police arrived and went into the house to find the body of Mr. Hansen that was reported to be outside sobbing. When the police went into the house, it was completely empty. There was no furniture or other belongings in the house. Arrows, later found to be drawn in blood, led them to Colby's room. A red X was printed on the wall with blood. On June 6th, the police had come to a decision to break through the wall. They hit the wall with an axe and immediately formed a dark hole in the wall. The room was reported to have a very strong odor as soon as the axe broke through the wall. The police found 14 bodies hidden in the wall. The police found 15 bodies in total. 11 of them were related to a woman named Elizabeth Natalie Brooks. The wall contained her husband, both of her parents, her 5 children, her brother, and her 2 sisters. The 12th body could not be identified. The 13th body was that of Colby Hansen, and the 14th was Jonathan Davis. As far as the Davis family goes, the family died in a plane crash on June 5th. The Davis family were the only casualties on the plane. Charlie Davis was found to have a journal in his person. He had written a short story about the woman in the walls. Carl Hansen was sent into a coma on March 15th, 2007, and he died on June 6th. Nurses reported hearing a soft tapping on the walls before he died. As far as Elizabeth Brooks goes, Elizabeth was born on June 6, 1938. She married Edward Brooks in 1964. It was a great relationship, but everything changed after their 5th child turned 7. Elizabeth wanted another child, but Edward refused. Elizabeth kept pestering him until he, just like her own family, decided to beat her. She remained quiet for many years until she decided to call for help in 1987. Edward caught her with the phone, so he grabbed Elizabeth and beat her to death. He hid her in the crawl space between the walls. He also killed all of Elizabeth's family, including his own children, just in case they started to become suspicious. He later confessed to the entire crime, except for where he hid the bodies. He sent a letter directly to the police, and then shot himself. Her body was not found until June 6, 2006. Police found her in the crawl space, clutching the 6th child she so badly desired.